Okay, so these are the scripts which I have already uploaded into my GitHub. So here you can see all the scripts are there, right? Obviously, it will take you time to understand what these scripts are doing, but I'm executing the same commands which I've shown you in this script. I will open you the script and show you. So what this script does. Okay, let me explain you on the whiteboard. Okay, so random key, right? See what is happening is when I'm creating a simple user, let's say user as Nilesh example. Let's say I'm creating a user called Nilesh is my user in Kerberos. So what I want, do I want the password for this user Nilesh to be generated, auto-generated randomly, or I want to give it myself? First thing, if I want to give it myself, I will simply say add Prince Nilesh, as we are doing, add Prince Aman, and it will prompt me for a password. I will have that password, right? So let's say, let's look at first step. I'm saying add Prince Nilesh, prompts me for a password. I hit enter here, prompts me for a password. I enter a password here, right? So that password I remember. I know that password. Let's say password is, you have entered a password again Nilesh as a password for user Nilesh. Now second option is I say add Prince random key Nilesh. Hit enter. It will not prompt me for a password. It will create some random password, right? Random password could be some very long number, random number, right? Some random number. So now this random number, what I can do is, as a user, one option is I should have gone this way where I know my password, enter it password, right? Simple password. Other way I could have gone is I could have gone with this method, but this method is how will I know this password? So what I have to do, I have to export this password to some file, which we have done here also, right? As I shown you the second method, right? I can export this rather than typing into a file, correct? So how we do that? I can do kt add hyphen keytab file, part2 keytab file. Let's say Nilesh dot keytab. And which one I'm saying? I'm saying Nilesh, add Nilesh to a file called nilesh.keytab. I'm using kt add. What will happen is by kt add by default, whenever I'm doing a kt add on any principle, whether it's a headless principle, host principle, service principle, what it will do, it will randomize the password once again, right? And put it into a keytab file, right? So now let's say the password was XYZ, right? It will randomize. It might put A, B, C, D, something randomize again, put it into this file, put it into this file and updates its database, Kerberos database, right? So now the password has been not this, but the password is new one now this, correct? So which is fine if I'm going with by random password method, right? But if I'm doing the first option, if I do this when I've kept a password Nilesh, what will happen is the password will no longer be Nilesh. It will be changed random to something else. So to avoid changing the password, what I'm doing is here kt add does not have no random command here, no rand key command. Which has only XST has a no random key option. So KTI does not have. So if I want that password should not be changed, it should be exported to the file, whatever it is kept. Here I'm saying XST, no random key, the key path and the user principal, whichever principal it is. So the password will be same. Right? So this is what we are doing here. So now let's go back. So first thing what we have to do is, let me just do a cleanup here. Right, everything has been updated. Right? So I've just done a cleanup here. So first thing I have to do is host file. I've just written a simple script here. Vi nn load. I've just created a simple script. So I'm writing in the script a node name nn1.cluster1.com, the node which will be my name node. Cat dn data node. I have 4 data nodes, 1 name node. So I'm writing in that. Cat user list. Any user which you want to create a key tab for. Right? Right, so I will explain you. So now let's look at the first script. Add user. I'm not doing anything special. Same which I will execute the command manually. Look at this. I'm saying kadmin local. I'm saying Q. Q is quiet. Means do not prompt me for anything. I'm echoing the password Hadoop because it prompts me 2 times. Remember when I'm saying enter admins Aman, hit enter, it asks me for password. Again, it confirms me for asking my password second time. So this is what I'm doing, echoing that password, new line, again that password for that particular user. Which user? In the user list. So I have a user list, which is what? This user list. Right? I'm creating that password, that user. Right? So now I say, let's say add user.sh. So it automatically created. You're saying you said once we create user in Kerberos, the password will change automatically. No, password will not change automatically after some time. It will be the token will expire, right? The K list, we see that a token is coming in that temp file, right? That will expire after 8 hours. The password will automatically change when we export that file, right? As I said here. When I do this kt add command, it will change. So to avoid changing that, I have to give this option, XST no random key. It will not change, right? Password will not change in the database by itself. Password only changes when I'm doing this operation. I'm exporting that. If I don't do export, password will not change. So the user, I've added that user, same command which we did, see add prints, nothing special about this command. I did the same thing, right? So now another command is cat create nn principal, name node principal. I'm saying create name node principal. So what I'm doing here, right? I'm creating a host principal, right? Obviously, as I shown you, I'm creating an HTTP principal. Why? Because name node talks on, has a web server, right? Which you access on 50070 port. That needs to have a Kerberos enabled, right? Web server, and also your data transfer happens on your over the HTTP call, right? DTP, using DTP, right? Even within the data nodes. So that's what I'm doing here, right? So now let me modify this. So, right, I'm doing few other things also here, which you don't need to do here, right? So what I do, HDFS, correct? And what I'm doing, then I'm saving it. So what I'm doing, I'm creating a host principal for name node. I'm reading this file and then host one. See, this file has only one node, and then one.cluster1. I'm adding that host principal, HTTP principal, and an HDFS principal, because we are running that as an HDFS user. That service we are running as HDFS user, name node and data node. So I'm adding for name node, and all three, what I'm doing, I'm adding to a file, name node.key. I'm saying no random. Once it has already been randomized here, I don't need to do a random again. So I'm saying no random. So it will be adding to a file called nn.hdfs.keytab, right? Presently that file is not here. So I will say create nn. It has done that. So you will see it has created nn.keytab here. Similarly, let's say vi create dn principal. Similarly for dn also, we will be saying data node also running with HDFS service with HDFS user, right? Whichever user you want to use, let's say Hadoop user, whatever. Same thing we are doing for each data node. So if you look into this, I'm again running a for loop. If I do a cat on this, you can see I've listed 4 data nodes there. So I say now create dn. So it has created data node principals as well, right? So now you can see it has created data node as well. So now other thing which we are doing is user principal. As I showed, Aman user, you are creating a user principal, right? User list is Hadoop. You are using that user principal, and you are using that host principal as well, right? If you remember, when I executed aman-kt command, by default it looks for host principal as well. So what are we doing? We are adding each node's principal as well into that file and user along with user principal. Yeah, we'll come to that. KVNO, we'll come to that, right? So this is KVNO is a position. This is the every entry which we add, it goes to a keytab file, right? So that keytab file has a position for each of the entry it has, right? So if you look from the Kerberos config file, these many types of encryptions we have. For each encryption type, it has added a value, added a principal in that keytab at this position, right? Which position? I will show you that, right? So here, if I do ls here, right? So now let's say I want to see which one name node. Let's say what this keytab file contains, what principles this contains. I cannot simply cat this; it will not give me anything. It's all gibberish. So how will I know what it contains? So there's a command called kt util. I press tab here. I can read. I can say read kt util. I can give the path, file name, hit enter, and I can say list. So you see, these are all position numbers here inside that KV number, right, in the slots. So let's say if I execute one more time, I enter it. Okay, let me show you another one. See, data node 1, so many entries. If I execute a key tab add command again, it will change to 2 here. So what is happening is, this is the first key of each type. These are the slots, right? KVNO is that number. Full form, let me check what is the full form for this. KVNO. Okay, I don't know what is the full form of this. Yeah, but it's known as Kerberos vault number here, right? Kerberos vault number. So I'm not sure if there's any other full form for that. So this is what it is mapping to each, right? Each one of that number. I can delete also, right? I can, let's say I have a file here and I want to delete some entry here from that key tab file. I can delete that entry, right? So if I do here, I can delete an entry, right? Which entry I will delete? When I say entry, it will ask me which slot you want to delete. I will say slot 5, slot 4, slot 3. I can tell that. So it will remove that entry from there. Okay, so let's quit from here. So we have done this. So all good, right? So let me show list prints I can do here. So it is listing me, all is fine. So I have HTTP for each data node. I have HDFS for new node and data node. I have host principal for each. Everything is set up for my name node and data node, right? So now what we do? So I have written a script again, copy key tabs. Simply what I'm doing, I'm copying all the key tabs which I have generated to all the other nodes, right? To all the other nodes, right? So create user key tab as well. We missed on this step. So now I will say I'm copying to all nodes. Instead of doing manually, it's just a script, right? So same steps, I'm just copying it to all nodes, right? So this is the, see the script here, it's copying to each node in the cluster. So what it's doing, each node will have this directory path. Let me show you here, and then one. Where I'm copying all those key tabs, right? So now let's go to the Kerberos configuration part. So we are saying JPS. I'm saying stop -dfs.sh. I'm stopping everything. And let me move the screen out. Okay, so now we are enabling Kerberos here. So let's cd/opt cluster Hadoop etc Kerberos Hadoop, right? This file. Okay, so I'm here vi core-site. Everything same, privacy no change here. So what thing we will add here is to this one is we are adding Kerberos, right? So what I have to do is I have to add an entry here where I will be saying that what is the authentication method, right? I'm not changing anything. I'm just adding what is the authentication method here. I say this authentication is Kerberos. Then I say security authorization. Authorization means once it gets a token, what it does with that, right? Do you want to enable authorization as well? True or false? So what it's doing by default, data node, when let's say a data node wants to read a block, let's say you might have 1,000 blocks per data node. By default, it does not need any kind of a permission to read those blocks. But when I'm enabling Kerberos, it takes a token, and that token is checked, takes a token, and to read any block, it must have a valid token. So that's what we are saying, authorization, right? So it validates that. Save vi hdfs-site, right? So this is the one. So now we are going to hdfs-site file. In hdfs-site file, what we need to look for is all these things are same. We are not changing anything here. Data transfer, protection, privacy, everything we are leaving it same. So here what we'll change here is we will change the Kerberos permissions. Kerberos permission, right? So here this is all from coming from our SSL lab. So here what we will change in the Kerberos setting. Let's go down here. Let's make some section here. Let's make some section here, right? So I'm saying Kerberos settings. Something we will be changing in Kerberos. First thing I have to do is, as I said, I'm saying whenever you are reading even a block data node, it should have a valid token. So I will not be able to read a block if I'm not having a Kerberos ticket. Correct? Now, second thing, I need to tell name node what is the principal I should use. Means what principal I should use to start my service. I'm telling HDFS underscore host. I could have given NN1 here as well, but I'm making it generic /host, so it will automatically replace your whatever your host name is into this and replace. So your name nodes principal is Kerberos principal is HDFS /nn1.cluster1.com at capital cluster1.com. Similarly, what is your host HTTP principal? Similarly, HTTP principal will also be same, right? So HTTP principal means you need host principal and your web principal, right? Both HTTP, right? So I will add here. So this is what I'm doing. So for name node, I'm adding name node's Kerberos principal, the HTTP principal, and the web authentication protocol principal, right? This is what we have created there. Then what I'm doing here is I will be adding one more principal like this, which will be like what I'm doing. I could have written this same value again, this one, but I'm saying whatever this value is, read that value again, right? I could have written this value again, whatever that value is, read that. So what is Spinago? So if you remember our security class, very first security class, so I explained you what that Spinago is. So by default, HTTP was it's a very old protocol, right? It has been in existence for a very long time. Kerberos came much later. So either you rewrite the protocol or you put up with some kind of an implementation or a wrapper which it can do it. So Spinago is the one using which you are doing that HTTP. So these are the settings, right? So we have to remember this, like remember this or search it in a Google, what principles it will take. So that's the one, right? So similarly, so this is an HDFS file. So similarly for my data node also, I will add it here. So obviously we are keeping the HDFS file common across the cluster. So name node and data node entries, everything we enter here on the HDFS file. So if it's a data node, it will apply on data node. If it's a name node, it will apply on a name node, right? So I've told all these things, but what I am missing here, I've not told where it should read that key tab file from, correct? I've told about all this, use all these principles, but I did not told it where it should read. So I have to tell an entry here that, okay, you are reading everything about name node from this particular file. All these things which you have mentioned here, you are reading from there. Similarly for data node, let's write data node Kerberos, right? So I'm saying, so data node Kerberos also, what you have to do now, we have to enter first where you should read the data node Kerberos principles, right? I'm telling that from here. Similarly, what is the data node principle as we have given for name node? Same HDFS underscore host principle. Similarly, HTTP and your web HDFS principle, right? We don't need Spinago here because we are running the main web server from our name node, right? So we are saying what is the HTTP principle? We need to give it on a data node as well, because data node needs that to communicate with the other data nodes for data transfer and also to the name node. So this is what we have done. So this we need to do on each node in the cluster, right? So to avoid typing this, I can copy across all the nodes, right? So to copy this, what I can do is, let me bring my other node up here. So here, as I said, I already have a lot of flush commands written. Okay, so I will be simply copying this. I'm copying this config file across all nodes. Right, let me show you, nothing special. I've just, what changes I've done, I've copied to all nodes. Let me SSH DN1 here as well. I'm going to data node 1, cd/opt cluster Hadoop etc Hadoop vi4-site, right? You can see same thing what I was telling you, the same Kerberos true, that true, I have copied here, vi hdfs-site, same thing I've copied there, right? Kerberos configurations, name node and data node, both I have copied there. So now let's check once more the time to be sure the time is same. Okay, now that's fine, there's not much difference. See, the difference is coming less than a minute. This is all good, should not be more than 5 minutes. So now our those things are set up, right? So now what I do, start dfs.sh. Oh, sorry, not here. This is my data node. Start dfs.sh, just name node. Let me just check, by mistake it should not have started anything. Okay, it has come. I'm starting DFS. GPS, right? So name node has come up and data node would have also come up on any other node. Let's go to here. Data node is also up. So let's do here Hadoop FS-ls. See, it is now giving me an error saying now cluster is Kerberized. I need a ticket to access it. I need a ticket to access it. Ticket for which user? Ticket for the HDFS user, right? So we have already created that in our user key tab file. So now what I'm saying kinit hyphen kt slash opt cluster. Okay, let me first, before going there, let me show you cd slash opt cluster security, right? These are the key tabs we have. So this is a user key tab, right? So this is similar to that Aman key tab, but it has one more entry. Let me show you kt util. Right? So what it has host entry as well as user entry, right? Aman user as well, and the node entry as well, each node entry as well, right? So in our actual production environment, we don't need to add for each node because user will be only logging on the edge node. So I will have only one entry, host slash edge cluster1.com and HDFS, only those two entries. But here we are entering all because I'm doing it by script, and that script has a for loop. It is adding for all, and we are not always calling edge node in our practical in our lab. So I'm just doing it from there. So now what I do k init. Let me show you first k list here. I'm logged in as HDFS. So let me do k destroy, right? Nothing here in the k list now. So now what I do, k init hyphen kt, and I will be using that user key tab. I do k list. See, I've got a principal here now. So now I can do Hadoop fs-ls. See, now it is working. Now my cluster is Kerberized. I need to have a ticket. So here now, if you see, the HDFS user, the host user, I do not know the password, right? We never created any password because we said do a random generation and then export to a key tab. So whoever has that key tab can only execute this Kerberos file, right? So now you have to safeguard that key tab file. So you will put that key tab file for access this user key tab file on a particular node, let's say from on a edge node, and only that key tab file will be valid from the from that edge node, and you can access only from that edge node, right? So now let's do the same thing which we did. I did k destroy. Let's do k destroy, and nothing is there, right? So I do export again. Export. What is that command? Export. It was in which user? The name not going to need it. History pipe grep export. Oh, we did not execute here. Okay. Export Hadoop underscore user underscore name is equal to okay, not this user. This is anyway HDFS. Let's go to su-aman, right? and let's do export here. Right, K list, right? So anyway, I'm a user, right? Right, so this is having a key tab, that's what it's able to do. But if I do K destroy here, it will not work. So this method will not work when you have a Kerberos cluster. You need to have a ticket. Okay, so now let's come back here. So this is a configuration where what we are doing, our SSL is enabled, means SASL is enabled. So what does it mean? SASL is enabled means our communication between data nodes, name node, and all that is secure. So Kerberos is making an assumption that we have already secured a cluster because SASL is enabled. It can detect that, it can see that, and it knows that now the communication between the cluster is secure. So it is fine for me to run the data nodes on non-privileged ports. Non-privileged port means ephemeral ports, right? So as you are already a system admin, this will be like you will be knowing all this. But right, so any ports which are less than 1023, you need root privileges to bind to that. Other than that, you don't need. So here data nodes are running with very different ports, right? Name node is running with 50070, data nodes are running with 500470 something, right? All those high ports. So what is happening is when we enable SASL, we are making the communication between data nodes secure. So we don't need to start data node on a privileged port when SASL is enabled, right? So SASL is enabled. So here you saw you did not do anything specific. You just created the key tabs, everything, and your nodes are up. So let me stop this data node first. Stop all these things. Let's look into what does it mean when my SASL is not enabled. Means I will remove all settings for SASL and let's see what happens there.